Hey there, I am Meredith, and I'm an intuitive and an astrologer based out of the mountains of North Carolina. And today I am going to talk about the IC. I'm going back to my ancestry series because I kind of took a few weeks off of that. I was traveling and finishing up with school, and now I'm back in school for the fall semester and am back home. So it's a little bit easier for me to record these. And yeah, if you want to like this video and share it with someone in your life that has either a Cancer IC, Cancer anywhere in the fourth house, if you're using like Placidus or Coach or Porphyry or any of those house systems. And if you don't know what any of that means, that's totally fine. You're in good company. Um, the moon in Cancer or moon in the fourth house. So, oh, there's my butterfly. All right. Anyway, so what you can find with Cancer in the fourth house or on the IC or is that there's a very close family. And that's a good thing, but sometimes like we feel that we need privacy, and sometimes having like the lunar fourth house influence, Cancer on the IC, can feel a little bit like a smothering kind of influence. And so that's why, so for me in my whole sign house system astrology chart, I have the moon in the fourth house, and I spend a lot of my time reading at my house because I think that I prefer the inward alone time. That's kind of, I'm not saying my mother was necessarily smothering, but yeah, like I grew up in a family where there was a lot of attention placed on me and what I was doing. And so when you have a very close, almost smothering family, like the adult reaction or response to that can be preferring a lot of time alone. And I would say that one of the sort of byproducts of having the moon in the fourth house, Cancer moon, Cancer IC, um, Cancer in the fourth house, because sometimes the IC is not exactly in the fourth house, and that seems like a different video for a different time. So we can have these like really strong waxes and wanes in our emotions, and sort of like emotional inconsistencies. That's the thing. I mean, all right, like in my chart, I'll tell you, I have Mercury, Venus, and Mars all in Virgo. So I love when things make sense. I love when things are logical, and I don't compute and don't understand when things are not that way, even though my moon is in the fourth. So even for people who have this placement, their emotions can be a point of confusion because they're not logical. They don't make a whole lot of sense. And so learning how to interact with them, learning what is mine versus like what is someone else's. Okay, well then how do I send what is someone else's back to them, or send it into the ground or like up into the heavens or whatever. Like how do I learn how to transmute what isn't mine that maybe I've picked up from my family or my partner or people that are in my life, right? Is a really great skill to have, and to be able to do that is really helpful, really beneficial. And I have a lot of tools that I've learned, and I look forward to sharing them both in classes, but also maybe just like a little bit more energetic information here on my YouTube, or whatever platform we're going to be using. But yeah, just like really learning how to interact with emotion is part of having this placement, which then, like, my ancestry and IC series is also about, it's about ancestral patterns. So like ancestral patterns of like messy emotions, right? And then when you don't deal with them, what happens? They store in your body, and they take up residence in your body. They cause all of these health issues. And when you don't deal with that, they're going to pile up, and then suddenly there's a crisis, right? So in German New Medicine, The crisis point enters or establishes a healing phase or a repair phase. Basically, the body wants to heal itself so much. The soul in the body wants to experience a breakthrough so much that it creates a physical crisis so that you're able to sit and address the emotions that are coming up for you. And this can look like a mental health crisis. This can look like a physical health crisis. So yeah, that can be something that happens with this IC, though really that's kind of everyone. But with this IC specifically, there's a need to learn how to address and deal with your emotions. So, want to talk about something that might be a little triggering for people in general, and also people who have this IC, is the dark versus the light version of the mother. So, you know, there is a very positive, like feminine, why you could call it a goddess, or you could call it like an aspect of divinity, the Holy Mother, the mother archetype. It's very light, it's very positive, it wants the best for everyone, it's very nurturing, right? But then the shadow of that can be, which is, since we live in a dual world, everything has a shadow or like an opposite, right? So the dark mother is the mother that can sometimes like unknowingly sabotage the child's success and can unknowingly sort of, well, or knowingly, right? I mean, who knows? It depends on the levels of like malignancy I think that we're dealing with in the family. But your dark mother archetype is a mother that wants control and wants to manipulate. And I think that it depends on very much like the aspects to your moon, and the aspects to your fourth house ruler, which might be Cancer in this instance, what that's going to look like. Are you getting mostly the aspect of the light mother that has cookies in the oven and is, ooh, I mean, this can kind of take on a similar form to the, beaver cleaver, like everything is fine, kind of like the Taurus IC. This can take on a similar form. To what degree are you getting that versus like, the mother that compliments but doesn't really mean it, or like compliments and then there's like an insult behind it, right? And speaking of cookies and eating, there can be some emotional eating, stuffing, and food programming that can come from eras where there has not been enough food, like famines or long periods of history where like agriculture for whatever reason was on the downturn. So so that can be part of having Cancer on the IC, is like this, or the moon in the fourth house or Cancer moon is the desire to just kind of weird habits with food. You don't exactly have to have an eating disorder to have just some weird, some hiding of food here or there, or like hoarding of food here or there. It's kind of, everybody has a different relationship with that too, and I feel like that's also very personal based on your chart. In terms of the body, we can see like energy pooling in the stomach and the chest. So when you see people that are really inflamed in their stomach and in their chest, that energy needs to go somewhere, be it down out of their feet, making a solid connection to the real mother archetype, Mother Earth, the planet that we're all currently living on, or like, they can release that energy by giving. Not over giving, but if somebody has a energy pooling in their chest and in their stomach, the hands and the outstretched arms are one of many sort of release points, right? And then you can also funnel this energy up and, try to get out of like, so if somebody has a lot of energy pooling in here, I'm going to assume on some level that they are having a very subjective experience. And I'm going to assume that, there's a little bit of like an emotional holding on process going on. And that's, everybody has their own prerogative, right? But you can connect to your sort of like soul star, which sits like right above your head. You can like pull that energy up any amount. So that's kind of like there's like 3 different release points that if you find yourself sort of like accumulating all in here, like the chest and the stomach, which Cancer represents in medical astrology. So you can see some stomach issues, which is connected to that sort of like interesting relationship to food. You can see some like edema, like fluid buildup in the chest, or breast cancer, whatever. Like you can see that type of thing sort of building up in here. Then you can know that, okay, well, maybe I can give something to someone, have some of that energy kind of like flowing out of my hands somehow, or I can go step out onto the earth and I can ground myself, or I can connect to divinity that is both within me and outside of me, like as a release valve for some of that. In addition to, continually processing your emotions and, maybe just like learning which decisions are to be made with emotion and which decisions are to be made with logic. I mean, life is a trial and error process, right? So, let's see what else. Oh, and bats. If you're a Cancer, I see moon in the 4th house like me, or Cancer moon, bats. It's the magic remedy. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into this. Let me know if you have any of these placements. And hope that you have a lovely day. Bye.